Welcome back to The Big Show, talking to the big stars, and it's always nice to meet an old mate. Jason Donovan, how are you?
Good afternoon, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm normally plugging CDs, and you being gorgeous. Today we're plugging a musical. Who'd have thought?
Well, Jason Donovan and musicals do hold hands, but I feel pretty settled in this show now. It's been going for me for nearly 8 months, so long. I can't wait for my holiday, basically. So that happens pretty soon.
How do I stand if I say I love this show?
You stand pretty much amongst 1,600 people that see the show every night, and most of them stand, exactly, you're right, at the end. It's a pretty feel-good sort of musical. One could argue that it's certainly not Disney, in that sense, and it ain't Mamma Mia, but it has the same feel-good factor as both of those sort of shows that I've just mentioned. It's Australian, it's based loosely on the film, and it has some great songs, and I Will Survive, MacArthur Park, Finally. These are sort of disco anthems with a gay twist to it, I suppose. Essentially it is a story of three misfits, really, with a heart, and I play a character called Mitzi Tick, who basically harbours a secret, and that secret is that he has a child, and slowly the story unfolds from there.
It's a great show. It's camp and it's uplifting and it's a load of nonsense. And God, do we need a show like this at this time?
One could argue definitely it's all of those things. And I'm, I think for me, I'm proud to be part of something that is Australian first and foremost. It gives me an opportunity to sing. It gives me an opportunity to act and play a character that I think has sort of, quite diversity. And bring essence of myself to the character, which is, someone that you want to love as well. Hopefully people want to love me. But I think my wife certainly does, and my children do. I'm thrilled to be part of a great Australian product. And for me personally, there's very few times in your life you get to open a show. Joseph really was the last show that I opened in the West End, and that story has been told and that history has been told. Well, let's hope that Priscilla has the same sort of legs, and if not the same legs, at least a different loincloth, and possibly a few more wigs and a bit of glitter.
You know all about radio now because you've got your own radio show and you're good at this interviewing stuff, and I'm going to make a mistake now because I'm going to be negative, and you shouldn't really this early on because you could walk out. I didn't really like you in this, nor Joseph, because I just end up feeling inadequate, and I know the lady I'm with is going to look at you, then look at me, and suddenly I'm not enough man.
You're talking about your own personal self-worth?
Yeah, I mean, you don't wear a lot in either of those shows, Joseph, or this, and they're looking at you with all the right bits in the right places, and there I am dangling like stalactites.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's a sort of a backhand.
No, I don't mean it as a compliment. No, I really don't.
Well, I'm confused about where this is going, but I can only say to you, I'm sorry. I don't see myself as anyone special. I still have the same concerns and worries when I go on stage each night. What I do is a profession that I love. Yes, I keep myself fit. I look after myself. I eat the right foods. I'm playing a sport at the moment, and I'm playing at the top level of the sport. And I have to maintain a certain amount of fitness to be able to deliver what you're saying, which is, things that sort of turn people on, I suppose.
Yeah, they're going to give me the role, are they?
Well, I don't know. It depends on whether you can act and sing, but I'm sure there's some auditions up for various roles at coming up at the moment. But look, this show is for everybody. One could argue it's probably not for the little kids, but certainly, I think it crosses a lot of audience boundaries, and I think we're about 250 shows in, and we've had a standing ovation every night, so I'm proud of it.
Colour My World, I just think it's so brilliantly done in this. It's camp and over the top, but it's got real heart like most of the story.
Yeah, Colour My World is written by a guy called Tony Hatch. You might know who Tony Hatch is. He wrote the theme tune for Neighbours, and managed to slip one in whilst I wasn't looking into this show,
so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, this show, this musical is a concoction of Maybe that's the word. Don't know. Never thought about it.
Was that Freudian concoction?
Maybe concoction. Concoction. I'll excuse myself. I'm Australian. I can get away with it. The show marriages many different tunes, and unfortunately, because ABBA has such a wonderful, successful musical down the road, we're not allowed to dive into their back catalogue. But there are songs like, as I say, Finally, I Will Survive, and this one, Colour My World.
Colour My World from Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, which is on here at the Palace. The big star, of course, is Jason Donovan. But it's actually a kind of a double-hander, this, because there's you and another guy that I was lucky enough to talk to about 6 months ago, and you do just steal the show, both of you. It's an ensemble piece.
Yeah, it is an ensemble piece, and you know, God bless the understudies who do a brilliant job. You know, but the dynamic between Oliver and Tony and myself is 250 shows strong, and it's an interesting chemistry because we're different people, and I'm sure if they were all in the room at the moment, they would say exactly the same thing. But essentially, there's a bit of fire for us on stage. 8 shows a week is tough. I can honestly say to you that pace is something that I think you can only do for a certain amount of time.
And you've done it for a while now. I mean, how long are you going to be in it before you have to just take a break?
I'm contracted for a year, and we still are not to know whether it's going to go beyond that. It certainly won't be long after that I leave, because I just don't think I can give it. At 8 shows a week for a year, you start to repeat yourself too many times, and things go a little crazy. Notwithstanding the fact that I have a family at home, and I always seem to be going against the traffic a lot, which slightly depresses me sometimes.
And all those hours you're wasting in the Mantan booth, making yourself like this gorgeous colour.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we are sponsored by a particular self-tanning company, so I managed to go up there quite a lot, actually. I'm sort of into that at the moment.
And I hate you for it. What's this thing you're drinking?
This is apple, orange, ginger, with a thing called spirulina, which has a seaweed base to it.
It looks disgusting.
It looks green. It actually doesn't taste that bad, because you can't really taste the green spirulina stroke seaweed in it. But I've so far managed to avoid anything that resembles a flu-like symptoms. Although this week, it's the only time I'm starting to feel slightly a bit clammy in the ears, and a bit like something's going on.
You need a week in Barbados. That's what it is.
I'm about a week off from going to Barbados for a week.
All right, let's get back to you, because I tried to get you last year for the book, and they said, no, you're not important enough to talk to Jason Donovan. What's wrong with me? In the pecking order of all the people you spoke to, why was I not good enough?
I don't control the press and the publicity side of things. All I can say to you is I try and get it around as to as many people as I can, because I'm one of the few artists that does believe in self-promoting and publicity. I think it's a very important ingredient. There is no point having the most wonderful piece of art or commercial entity and not be prepared to go out there and sell it. There's absolutely no point to me. I'm sorry. Again, this is twice.
It's all right, we'll move on. I'm going to forgive you on both occasions. Your life is interesting and so fascinating to me as a deeply unattractive person, because you've always had...
You do have a complex about this.
I have, because when I'm in the room with someone like you, I see how ladies react as I follow you through a building, and there's kind of an aura about you that they're curious. Me, skid mark on a hotel towel.
Well, I hate to see your underpants, but I'm sure there's more than a skid mark on those.
It is a blessing, though, in life, isn't it, when you go through and people like you immediately?
It's a funny question you're throwing up, because that sort of, genetically I was born with what I was born with, and one could argue that there is discriminative things that happen if you are blonde-haired and blue-eyed, and there's certain elements to life which make that quite difficult, particularly looking at your 20s when you're trying to be taken seriously. It's only now, when I've started to recede a little and I've got a few lines under my eyes and a bit of a beard, that people actually go, you know what, we can sort of start taking him seriously. But life isn't just about the way you look, it's what's inside, and I've been reminded of that very recently on a number of occasions. And look, I've been doing this business for 25 years. I'm still here. I'm still in business. I must be doing something right, even though I have to say I do doubt myself. I'm like everyone else. I have insecurities and days that are ups and downs. But You know what? If you ask me, I love my life. I have 2 great children. I have a great wife. I have a profession that I'm constantly learning about, and challenges me. It's not. I'm not one of these people that sits there and takes the job because it's easy. I'll take the job if it's going to stress me out a little bit. And I think that's important in life, because it's very easy for all of us, whatever profession, just to sit back and take the check at the end of the week. It really is.
When you're at your top, something clicks and you self-destruct. Why do you think that is, when you're at the top of your game and so talented and creative, that sometimes happens?
Well, we all want to be something we're not sometimes. And the sort of sadness of maybe my 90s craziness was really, I was trying to be cool, and actually, if I look at myself in that loincloth and a pair of white fluffy socks and wearing a Joseph coat, earning an extortionate amount of money in an Andrew Lloyd Webber show at the Palladium, I don't know why I was even thinking what I was thinking at the time. But there is a natural rebellious quality in any sort of success, I think, to want to and creativity. Business is a very more sort of structured thing. Creative people work in different sort of ways, and I do see myself as creative. The bottom line of it is, though, I like drugs, unfortunately, at that time, and that destroyed any self-worth that I had, and I basically sort of spent too much time enjoying myself on stupid substance abuse, when actually, if I'd sort of balanced my life a little bit more, I probably would have come through it a bit quicker. However, I don't regret things, because life is too short, and the plus side for me is I'm here talking about it, having not snorted a line of cocaine for many, many years, and I got through it. I'm a lucky one.
How do you think it is possible to get that line right, where you're at the top of your game, you're happy and everything's perfect, without overstepping it? It seems like there's something in show business that doesn't parallel the two.
Well, nothing is ever perfect. And what you read in Hello magazine and Now and Heat, is a glossy picture of what looks glamorous, but we all have our demons and we all have our ups and downs. And Robbie Williams talks about going out in Nebworth, to 75,000 people at the top of the game, hating it, because he's scared that paranoia sets in. So nothing is ever quite what it seems, and no one is immune. I don't care how successful. Look what Michael Jackson, those sort of scenarios. That's pretty much the straight and tall of the answer. I think some people are more honest about where they're going and others aren't. I find honesty a far more a much easier way to cope with life than trying to hide. And I've got into trouble for that before.
Are you okay now with being judged? Because let's face it, when the curtain goes up 8 times a week, I'm sat there judging you. I'm going to decide immediately whether you're good enough for me to sit there for the rest of the show. How do you come to terms with that? Because there's no other business like it where your every word is being judged.
The judgment is the theatre is packed. That sort of says to me that things are working, and that's not in an egotistical way. Something is right. It's the combination of me, Tony, Oliver, the show, the production, the people behind me. For every person out there doing it, there's a team of people making us look good, as long as you can sort of translate and deliver the goods. But you know what? I enjoy my work, and it is important that I get the self-gratification, and to have a success like Priscilla is really nice for me, because I've been working hard, and not everything works. You put out a record, it doesn't work as much as you million seller down the road. There's only one way when you're at the top to go down. What is important to me is again, my family and my situation at home, and the people that are really close around me. But yeah, a little moment of success now and again sort of helps the morale, keeps the troops going a little bit. Makes Daddy sort of a nice guy to sort of be on holiday with, rather than sort of anxious. And I think Priscilla has been that for me. And I think I firmly believe if you keep sticking at something in your life, you start to get rewards for things after a while, and people start to take you seriously. And whatever that means.
Testament to your dedication is the fact you do 8 shows a week. I speak to most of the stars in the West End and they don't do 8 shows. Why don't you ask to do 5?
I probably will. The truth be known, coming next contract, but whether they want that or not, that's their choice. I do 8 shows a week. Yeah, I have a massage 2 days a week. I'm 41. I'm pretty fit. I feel that the sort of...
All right, don't go on about it. What is all this about your physicality?
Oh, well, it's the same insecurities you have when you watch me on stage. You're sitting in your chair worrying about all your girlfriends around you trying to take you seriously. I don't know.
And how much does the masseur pay to actually get a hold of this?
I pay her, but she's bloody good.
I want to just talk very finally about this musical, Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, which is incredibly camp, and you're playing a gay man. How do you do it so well? I mean, you're very proficient at it.
Have you seen it?
Why would I sit here for 20 minutes talking to you if I haven't seen it?
I didn't know whether you had or not, but
You're telling me people would actually come and sit with you and not see it?
Some people don't. Some people don't. Some people, would interview and you don't necessarily see it. The camp side of it, I was brought up by gay people all my life. This business is surrounded by campness. The true art of Tick and stroke Mitzi is the balance between not being too gay, because everyone can mince around and that's easy, but it's the balance between being camp but not being over the top camp. Because remember, this character swings a little bit and has a child, and that part of his life is very serious. So that's a balance you have to try and find.
I suppose the hard thing for you is you've come from Joseph, which was a stupid musical, let's face it. A good musical, but a stupid musical. And this, again, has moments of stupidity in it where you've got to be so uplifting. Is it easy to do Brecht and Harold Pinter every night, where you can come in a bad mood and get away with it?
Well, I haven't done many straight plays, but I did a play called Festin in Australia, which is, a pretty serious play. I find acting a lot easier than singing. We all act because, however, some of us just can't do it on stage because of a confidence factor. I think to sing comes from another part of the body. You're far more susceptible to how you're feeling emotionally, physically, mentally. And it's, it's an instrument. And instruments are vulnerable. You can sort of, unless you lose your voice, you could pretty much act your way through anything, So I actually find this more stressful, yet more exhilarating when it finishes and when it's completed. But you dance, you sing, you act, it's the whole gamut. And yes,